from that $5 billion, there's about 30 to 40% shrink.
The art of the elevator pitch has been lost, and we're here to bring it back. After 5 years and 3,000 pitches, we've developed a simple formula that anyone can build from. Who are you? What is your company? What problem do you solve? How do you solve it? Who's going to pay you money? What do you need? Nail that in 30 seconds and you're on your way. How will today's entrepreneur do? Pitch practice is now in session.
Hello, my name is David Haley. I'm the co-founder of Countalytics. Currently, the airline industry spends about $5 billion per year on onboard inventory, which includes liquor and food. From that $5 billion, there's about 30 to 40% shrink. What we have developed is a mobile application that allows flight attendants or other airline employees to take a picture and it automatically counts those inventory items, saving the airline time and money. What we're looking for today is our first beta customer, so connection in the airline industry or other suggestions you may have.
Now, let's break down today's pitch.
Hey everybody, welcome back. That pitch from Countalytics was great. I really like both the pitch and even the opportunity. So I think it's really good. A couple of notes on this entrepreneur's name and the name of the company. He spoke really fast. In fact, I had to look him up. His name, I thought he said Damon. What he said was David Haley. And so I found that out afterwards. I couldn't understand that during when he actually pitched, so I had to look it up. So this is a common issue. We all say our names really fast because we take our names for granted, all of us. And that's why when we say it in a context like that, it's difficult for other people to understand. So we need to be conscious of what we're doing when we say our names out loud. And David, I think, did a great job on a lot of other parts of this pitch, but he needs to make sure that he does this really well. He can just go with David. Everybody knows the name David. Haley was fairly easy to understand, but still couldn't get the two together. And then the company is Countalytics. That's one of those mashup words. It's not a real word, but he's making it a real word. And so you need to say that really slow and make sure everybody gets it, because it's one of those things, if you say it fast, it's going to blaze over there. Now, the other part that I would include in this section, because it's about who he is his name or his organization, is that he used to work at Delta. And that's very important to know, because he brings a lot of expertise into this solution that he's creating, this problem that he's addressing. And we don't know that. And unless he says it in the pitch, we can't know it. So this is a very important part about saying who you are. When you say your name and your organization, you got just a minute there to say, I worked at Delta for a decade or something like that, or I worked in whatever industry and whatever space for this many years. It gives you instant credibility. And this happens a lot. People who are new entrepreneurs don't quite have the experience to know that their experience is what lends them credibility, especially when they're going to raise money. The investors are betting on the horse, not the jockey, which means they're betting on the entrepreneur. That entrepreneur's experience and ability to execute is absolutely what matters. I thought David did a great job of saying what the problem here was, and he did it in a way that made us do a little bit of math, but it still is a big problem. So the problem that he stated was that airlines spend $5 billion a year on liquor and food. The in-plane, in-airline services that they provide, everything from peanuts to liquor. $5 billion a year. And that 30 to 40% of that, he used the word shrink. Now, if you're in the restaurant industry, any of the service industry, you know what that means. Shrinkage means it just goes away, meaning they lose count of it and they don't have a way to capture that count. The word is shrinkage. And but he didn't know the audience there, and if you're not in that industry, you may not know what shrink means. So it may be easier for him to use a more common term, like something at 30 to 40% of that inventory disappears, gets stolen, gets used without being accounted for, or is lost, is maybe the easiest way to say it. So he could have said that. So $5 billion is spent, and 30 to 40% of that is lost. That's a fairly big expense for, in his space, the airline industry, which already runs on very tight margins and is always looking for a great place or other places to change their profit margins. The solution, again, thought was very clear. I really like this pitch. A mobile app for flight attendants or other employees But in this respect, I imagine it's really flight attendants who are on the flight who can take a picture of the inventory when they get on the plane, a picture of the inventory when they get off the plane. It's a mobile app. And the way he described it, they use some sort of machine learning or computer vision to count the items in inventory automatically. So it saves them an amazing amount of time having to go through and take inventory at the beginning, take inventory at the end, note the difference. You do it with 2 pictures, one at the beginning, one at the end. Very simple solution, and we already know that the people who work on the planes are already carrying tablets because that's how they do business now. That's how they swipe your card when you're buying a dinner or drinks or what have you. So it's already there. It's another app that can go on there. Good solution. This customer was about as obvious as it could be. He's selling to the airlines, and that I want to praise him for specifically noting that. Now that's where he comes from. We didn't know that from the pitch, but I learned it from him afterwards. That's where he comes from, is the airline industry. However, shrinkage applies to a lot of different industries. Restaurant comes to mind first. There's a lot of stuff that just goes away in the restaurant industry because you got employees who are hungry on the job or thirsty on the job. They eat, they drink. It just goes away, and they actually build their business models around some of that. So I think this is something that could apply to a lot of different industries, but he picked one very specific. When you get on a plane, there's inventory there, and that inventory needs to be accounted for. And it's a very specific problem. That's his ideal customer. So well done there. David also asked for a very specific item when he asked for something at all. He asked for a pilot customer. Simple as that. It helps to be very, very specific in what you're asking for. The more specific you ask, the more specific you're going to get. And there was an interesting post on Twitter from David Cummings here at Atlanta Tech Village just today, who was bringing out exactly that issue, that entrepreneurs get what they ask for, and most entrepreneurs are not specific enough in their ask, whatever they're asking for, whether they're raising money or asking for an advisor or anything in between. Be as specific as possible in what you need, what you're looking for today. It's going to change over time. You're going to need different things at different stages of your entrepreneurial journey. And you should ask for what you need today. If you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. Thank you, David, for coming to pitch practice. Thoroughly enjoyed it. One thing that I would like to see in your pitch is a story. That's actually 2 things: a story and why you. So I mentioned this earlier. You need to bring out that you've had years in the airline industry, because we don't know that from your pitch. That gives you instant credibility. And then walk us through that context. You know, when a flight attendant gets on the plane, they have to account for a certain inventory. And then when they're done with that flight, they have to account for the inventory. And where's the difference? How much was served, how much was sold, how much was given away, and how much was just lost? They have to do this every flight. It's their job. And you just made their job easier. So walking us through that context with a story will help us understand, help anybody understand exactly the problem you're solving. Well done. Now you go practice your pitch.